talk that I generally give to my cultural diversity classes so that they get used to critiquing somebody else speaking instead of them just getting graded all the time. And I titled the portion of this talk, I like my coffee, like my life like I like my coffee. So let me ask you this, especially right now, this time of the night, how many of you like your coffee strong? Like your strong? Yes, okay. My husband has this problem with my daughter because she says she likes her coffee strong. And then she proceeds to put in cream and sugar and flavorings. And he's like, that's not coffee anymore. That's something else completely. But that's the way she likes it. Years and years ago, when I first started teaching and first started training counselors, my husband at the time, David, was also a psychologist. And we talked a lot about, students' memory for stuff is really kind of limited. We shouldn't probably overtax them. So how many rules are absolutely necessary for counseling? And we got it down to 3. And so those are the 3 I'm going to share with you tonight. All right, anybody been in a relationship? You know this one. They're great. I love you just the way you are. Now change. I did a lot of marriage counseling, and one of the things that I found was the husband would come in and say, our marriage is great, our marriage would be great if she just would stop nagging or would stop shopping or whatever it was. And then she would say, our marriage would be great if he would just stop watching football all weekend, put the toilet seat down, whatever it was. What's wrong with this? Everybody wants their own way because they think that they're right. And we all think, well, if we could just change the other person, just tweak it a little, that would be so much better. Just that much. Unfortunately, who can you change? That's right, you. And you're the only person that you can change. So we look at these things and we go, all right, how can I be in this relationship and never expect the other person to change at all? So do we say, okay, well, I'll just accept you the way you are. That'd be great, but none of us are willing to do any of that. If I change what I do, they have to change what they do. So this is about, can I affect my relationship? And the answer is yes, of course you can, if you're willing to change what you're doing. So my husband, current husband, is an avid college football fan. You may have these in your own lives, where it's every game all day Saturday, on into Sunday, and all of that's great. And I said to him when I met him, I'm like, okay, here's the deal. I will follow one team, or I will watch one game on a Saturday. And after that, I'm free, I can read or do whatever. And so, during the game that we watched, we had all the conversations about, wasn't that a bad play, and on and on and on. And when that game was over, I went and read or did something else. And he would say from the couch, did you see that? Wasn't that just awful? And I'm like, this is not my game. This is not my game to watch, and I'm not watching it. So what happens? So the deal in this situation is, if the only person's behavior that I can change is my own, how do I affect change with you? We teach people how to treat us, and you know this to be true. How many of you have a friend who's a doormat for somebody else's bad treatment? Of course you do. And you ask, why do they do that? But the fact remains, if I let you treat me this way, you don't have any reason to not. Well, you don't feel any better about yourself. Why should I treat you better? This doesn't generally work out in the long run, because then there's resentment and there's all kinds of things. So I do not recommend this one. Let's not do that. What else can we do? Well, we can have a joint activity. So after the football game, I watched the game. Now, did I ask him to go shopping with me? Oh, no, please, no, we did not do that. But I did say, we can go to a movie, one that we both like. And now we both have an activity that we both like. So what's the next thing? Here's the problem. People want to change. How many of you think you're great the way you are? Yeah, that'd be everybody. Everybody in this room, just raise their hands. People who want to change because change is hard, And change is scary. And so to change is to move into the situation where you don't know. How many of you have a friend or a family member who's in a bad relationship? And you're like, get out now! Did they? Did they appreciate you telling them that? This is the other thing, madness. These people are crazy. Why doesn't your friend or family member get out? They can't. That's exactly right. They can't. If they could, they would. When I worked in social services in Pittsburgh, I had lots and lots of women who were in awful relationships. They got pregnant in high school, they graduated or not, and eventually, 5-6 years down the line, they had 4 or 5 kids and no job skills. And we were all like, well, just get away from him and everything will be fine. And they couldn't. Why couldn't they? Well, because this is what they knew. Who are they going to marry? Who do we pick? We pick the best person we think we can get. And if you didn't graduate high school, who's that person? Certainly not, some CEO in a company somewhere. So here's the problem. They wanted to get out, but they couldn't. They didn't have job skills, so they could work at Walmart or McDonald's or someplace like that wouldn't pay for the child care that they had to have. And a couple of things became clear. First, you can't judge somebody else's life by your own life. Second, their experiences are not your experiences. And third, we need to offer something that's more uplifting for them, something that will help them out. Here's the other piece of bad news. The corollary to rule number 2 is people would rather stay with a miserable known than take a chance on a possibly better unknown. Because the change is more terrifying than just staying with what I have. So, how many of you had this experience? You have a friend or someone you know, and they came from an alcoholic family, and what do? They marry an alcoholic. Again, you're like, what were you thinking? Why did they marry that person? They thought they could change them. Please refer back to rule number 1. They picked a situation that they were very, very familiar with and very comfortable with. And that comfort led them to a situation where they could just continue doing what they were doing. Because in a situation, we will most likely just continue doing what we're doing until it's so obvious that it's not going to work, that we can't go on. The last one came about as a result of working with schizophrenics. I don't know if you know anything about schizophrenics. They have an interior life that is all their own. And this is true for everybody. If the experience is real for you, it's real. 2 friends arguing. You said I was messy. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. I heard you. You had these conversations? Of course you have. Who was wrong? Both and neither. Both and neither. So these kinds of situations are one in which, if the friends are good friends, they'll get past this. It's like, I didn't say you were messy, I said the house was messy. Well, I thought you meant me. No, I didn't. And that was fine. But what happens the minute you tell somebody that they're wrong, or that the reality is wrong? There goes the wall, and they stop listening. And the minute someone stops listening and communication is over, now you've got no place to go. Once they stop, you can't do anything. Perception in psychology is everything. I use a story in my class. So I'm up here teaching. Someone comes in and shoots me dead. After everybody stops cheering and trying to decide what they're going to do with an extra hour of their life, the police come in and start questioning everybody in the room. So how many versions of my death are there? One for every person in the room. Who was right? Who was lying? Nobody was lying. Every person told the truth that they had. People who dived under the desk at the first sight, they didn't see anything. There wasn't anything to report. The person who's had experience with crime scenes, dead bodies, I don't know who those people are, but anybody who has that kind of experience, they're going to have a very different story for the police than someone who's never seen a gun up close and is terrified. Everything is real to your own experience. And so if it's real, then this is what you have to work with. What do you want to do with that? So when someone throws up the wall and says, I'm not listening to anything you say, do you say, oh, thank you? Thank you so much for correcting my misperceptions. We never say that. We say, oh, those people aren't worthwhile, they don't know anything, and now we've stopped communication. Again, we've talked about how that's not helpful. What might we do instead? See, it's not always good to just say what you can't do, you gotta offer what you can do. Tell me more about that. Get the person there to explain. Because even if you don't end up agreeing, you at least have some basis for the communication to continue, and you haven't ended your relationship because you've stopped your communication. So those things are important. Make sure that people, are good in as many ways as what they are humanly possible, able to be good. Know what you believe and why you believe that. Be realistic about the things you can and cannot do. Insist other people treat you well. Understand that you like your coffee or your life with lots of interesting flavors that make your life more interesting. Try to live your complicated life as simply as you can. Thank you.